This thing at West Virginia, you're not suing. So, first of all, shut up.
And by the way,
And
I would also like to add, if it wasn't copyrighted, we would have done this whole bit over the Mountain Mama song. So, just saying.
Listen, I understand. North Carolina basketball, right in the middle of my soul.
Right.
North Carolina perpetrated one of the great frauds in the history of college basketball, in my opinion. They have no business being in the NCAA tournament. They're not good. I've told you, I think all season, they're not good. They're not talented. They're not deep, and they're poorly coached. Other than that, they're a great tournament team, right? So this idea that a state that is so unbelievably poor in West Virginia is now spending state resources to talk about how oppressed they are in college basketball, it's offensive to me. And I'm not trying to stand on some moral high ground, or can we stop doing this? Can we stop with suing the ACC when you knew you were never going to win? Can we stop with suing the Mountain West and suing the Pac-12 and suing the Corner Bakery? And this is what we've become. We don't like the rules when they're applied to us. So even in this case, we're going to threaten to sue. Let me ask you this, Slick. So you sue. First of all, who are you going to sue? You're going to sue the NCAA? You're going to sue North Carolina? Are you going to sue the manufacturer of the brushes you use to clean coal? Like, who are you going to sue here? You have so many more far-reaching actual issues of humanity in the state of West Virginia. West Virginia basketball is meaningless in the grand scheme of things. So this idea that it's okay to take the time yesterday and sit up on a dais and tell us how you are the aggrieved party, Patrick Morrissey, who is the governor of West Virginia. I actually laughed out loud in offense to the importance that a governor places on college basketball over humanity.
6 quad 1 wins. And that was combined with an undefeated record against quad 3 and quad 4 opponents. 3 wins against top 10 teams and the 24th toughest schedule in America. West Virginia deserved to be in the NCAA tournament. This was a miscarriage of justice and robbery at the highest levels. Now, who was the last team to get into the tournament? Ahead of the Mountaineers. That would be the University of North Carolina. Now, let's see how their resume stacks up. The Tar Heels went 1-12 in quad 1 games and even had a quad 3 loss.
Cool. Go feed your citizens. It's college basketball. This is no different than Florida State. This is no different than all of this other nonsense where you have no case in a court of law. So you're going to bloviate, you're going to huff and puff, you're going to get the TV cameras out, you're going to stand at a dais, and I feel like you're running for re-election. And I just want to say, make sure all your people are fed and educated. And then come talk to me about how West Virginia didn't get in the NCAA tournament. I'm just not here for it.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think that we've seen any type of actual tangible action come from this strategy. I mean, I understand that, hey, you can look at the ACC settlement and say, all right, well, maybe there was something there, but this is completely different. I mean, this is you being upset about, something that happened, and it's fine if you're upset. I understand why people are upset. But I have to agree that spending state resources on this is crazy. I mean, you're talking about college basketball at this point. You're talking about something that with all due respect, when you start talking about the real world and real human issues, is relatively a small issue compared to other things that we deal with in the world. And so I sit here and I listen to Patrick talk, and I'm just like, dude, like, yeah, you probably have bigger issues than this on your ledger of things to take care of as governor. And I'm just surprised that anytime something happens in college athletics like this, we just immediately turn to, hey, like we're gonna sue, we're gonna huff and puff, we're gonna, try to stand strong and put up this huge, strong front. But again, what didn't happen yesterday is we didn't get like official paper on what exactly you're suing for. We didn't get, a whole, a whole suit laid out and knowing what you're asking for. So right now, this is just a press conference that you decided to go and do and make a bunch of noise, and that's where we are. So the question I have is, are you actually going to sue, or are you just talking smack and making a point, and you're just going to let this thing die? Because if you look at, like what your athletic director said, or what your head coach said, or what other people have said, all they're talking about is, hey, like we need to make sure we let these guys know how proud of them we are, and we're really disappointed. Like, hell, even Brett Yormark is out here talking about how he's shocked and disappointed that you didn't get into the tournament.
Come on.
So like everybody's on the same page about what happened, but I just don't think that means you got to sue to try to ultimately get damages, I guess. Like, is that what you're suing for?
Like, and again, I'm just asking, who are you suing? Who are you suing?
Well, he's claiming he's suing the NCAA. That's what Patrick's whole
he's
thing.
threatening. Again, you're one of the poorest states in the country.
Yeah.
You have incredible childhood poverty, and you're suing over a basketball tournament. It's ridiculous. Now, having said that, what Bubba Cunningham did, in my opinion, is one of the great frauds we've ever seen in college sports. I think putting North Carolina in this tournament is incredibly egregious. This is why we have Super League talk, private equity talk. This is why we have all the issues. The systematic fraud that is perpetrated against college sports fans on a week in, week out basis in this country is remarkable. And when somebody gets called on the carpet for it, then all of a sudden,
Monty.
No Monties. Here on Locked On the Monty Show, let me just be very clear. There's no justifying it, Bubba. I think Bubba Cunningham lied through his teeth. I think Bubba Cunningham committed an incredible fraud against West Virginia, Boise State. Oh, and they have an injured player. Shut up. North Carolina is still not as good as West Virginia, even with their injured player.
How much does the game today matter? Because the other thing I've seen is that everyone and this is just, Twitter nonsense, right? But I feel like there's this sentiment out here that, depending on what happens in this game today, that would justify what Bubba Cunningham did. Oh, hey, if the Tar Heels win this game, of course they should have been in. And my point is, I don't care what happens in this game today from the standpoint of it's got nothing to do with what Bubba Cunningham did. You shouldn't be playing this game. So whether you win or lose this game from that standpoint is inconsequential. And it's not an excuse if you do win the game. It's not an excuse for what he did.
In any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And I look at the line. It's North Carolina, San Diego State, Dayton, Ohio. Carolina's favored by 4.5. I don't care. North Carolina, quite literally, could go on a run and win the entire tournament, win the championship. One shining moment. Like, okay, cool. You should never have been in the tournament. It is this is more fraud than Michigan winning the national championship. This is more fraud than the Stallions thing, than cheeseburgers for hungry kids, and we get it.
Yeah.
This is much more of a fraud than that, in my opinion. I think it is one of the great miscarriages of the damage that you are doing to Boise State and the Mountain West. I can't even fathom.
But
that's okay.
But are they suing?
No, they're not. You don't sue. You can't. I don't know. It is what it is. Chewy Gonzalez. Yeah, I don't care. Do you guys understand how many people ask us to collaborate and how many people watch our show? And when we say, hey man, no offense, we don't have time to do collabs. I get up at 4:10 every morning and it is 5:00 in the afternoon before I even blink. When am I going to do a collab with you? When am I going to do that? While I'm making my dinner? No, I don't think so. Like people are so petty in the whole thing. I'm shocked that Disney isn't involved in bringing the Rays to Orlando. Okay. So now we're going to do baseball teams relocating. Which is fine. Rock and Ran, I love West Virginia as a school and a team from afar. Great fans, but they got to stop worrying about fake lawsuits and TikTok dances.
Yeah.
I was waiting for somebody to bring up Rich Rod's TikTok ban today, which I totally agree. Why do you care?
Yeah.
Let kids be kids. I know kids are not supposed to have fun. Kids are supposed to sit at the table and not be heard.
Don't talk, eat your food, and do the dishes.
That's right. And then go do your homework and don't get in trouble. Neither are good looks for the program. Totally agree. Nicholas Smith, Marty and Jake seem lost. I'm sure we are, Nicholas. Why don't you, if you could bring us back into reality.
Yeah, why don't you help us?
Yeah, could you educate me and learn me the world?
Could you be our North Star?
Please, that would be amazing if you could just help us understand our shortcomings. And donuts, I'm concerned Team Monty being able to squeeze in 18 during the week. Dude, 18 never happens during the week.
Yeah.
It doesn't. And I'm not complaining. I love my life. I have a great life. I'm just super packed all the time. Between meetings and all kinds of stuff, we have far too many meetings these days. But could it be an email? Yes. Could it be a text message? Okay, if it can be an email, don't have a meeting. If it can be a text message, don't send me an email. If it's really not that important at all, don't send me a text message. But
pretty straightforward.
Do you guys ever notice that at work or wherever you are, the absolute waste of time that we put into meetings? I'm going to put a meeting on your calendar. Yeah, probably want to just put that in an email. Okay, well, it's Jim's birthday. What should we get him as a team? Yeah, could have had that as a conversation. Never. Screw Jim. Anyway, it's amazing to me the way. Yeah. RX says no injustice was done. If you're on the bubble, it's your fault. Okay. So you really think that the money, and I would point out Boise, and I would even go as far as to say Boise and West Virginia were in 5 to 10 times before North Carolina gets in. And the idea that no injustice was done, tell me you either don't know college basketball or you're just a red ass. That's one of it's ridiculous. Sergeant Green, out of curiosity, how much tournament money was on the line? Well, it depends on how many games you win.
Yeah.
You get shares based on how many games you win. So a lot. And for somebody like the Mountain West, $1 is a lot of money. For somebody like Boise, $1 is a lot of money. You look at what's going on in the Mountain West, the exiting teams, the new teams coming in, the lawsuits, the poaching. You really don't think tournament shares matter? Because Boise would have won a game. I can almost guarantee you that. But you're not changing that now. Expanding the tournament. Does expanding the tournament fix this? No. The P4 are going to do everything they can do to keep anybody who's not in their ranks out.
Yeah, and I do feel like this issue would encourage us not to expand the tournament, because expanding the tournament is just gonna allow more P4s in, and then we're gonna have the same issue right at the end of the conversation. The 76 team is gonna be, we're gonna have that conversation. So I think what needs to happen is there needs to be a reform of the committee, and there needs to be some type of rule put in place that because their defense, Bubba Cunningham's defense is, well, I wasn't in the room. We have rules and regulations around that. Like, And it's like, okay, dude, you may not have been in the room, but we all know what's going on here. And so there has to be a way for, for an unbiased decision to be made. You can't have a team get in that clearly is not tournament worthy. That just doesn't work over another team that is.
Yeah, I think it is. It's remarkable when you look at North Carolina. They just have no business being in this tournament.
Yeah.
And I think when you look at the landscape in 2025 of college basketball, the ACC was by far the worst power conference in college basketball. Not close. And North Carolina is an example of how bad that conference is, and they still got in. And there's nothing anybody can do about it. So, Mr. Governor, you want to stand up there and, I guess, run for re-election and show people we're fighting for West Virginia by wasting taxpayer money when you're one of the poorest states and you have one of the highest levels of childhood poverty? Come on, man. You got to do better than that. You got to do better than that. And in my opinion, I just think this is grandstanding. That's all this is. If that's the case, Nebraska should be in because they were on the bubble. Exactly. Like, the bubble argument is ridiculous. It is. Yeah. Chewy Gonzalez for $2. And you just hit, I think, isn't that Scott who just got hit?
Birdie.
Oh, it's Birdie. Okay. Hopefully Birdie's out for the year. If you can't throw the ball to first base, the Cubs are I just should not watch the game. Pulling for San Diego State out of pure red assery. All of us are. Chewy, you are one of us. That's exactly right. And if I could do a Chewbacca sound, do a Chewbacca impersonation, please.
I can't. I don't have one.
Is that because you're still sick?
No.
Why can't you do one then? You have a soundbite. You know. Thank you. D-Rock Irish. Bubba gets an extra $104,000. You really think this was about Bubba Cunningham's 401k? I love that people want to be like, oh, he gets 100. Who cares? Do you really think that's why Bubba Cunningham did this? That's not why he did this. It's not why he did this. It just isn't. I think it is incredible how many people want to dig into like contracts, and I don't care that Bubba Cunningham got a bonus. Bubba Cunningham didn't do this for himself. Bubba Cunningham did this for North Carolina and the ACC.
Yeah.
He did it to better his situation. And I'm sure the $104,000 is a nice little bump. I'm sure that's what it is. Doug Salisbury. Yet we are talking about giving 4 bids to the football tourney. If the SEC has 4 teams worthy of a bid, awesome. But the powerful teams will never agree to rules that don't benefit them. But I also think this is a completely different situation than the college football playoff. That's systematic corruption. They built a system to benefit themselves. Okay, well, you let that happen. That's on you.
Right.
This was, I think Bubba Cunningham, in my opinion, committed one of the great frauds we've ever seen in sports. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, and I don't think that's an exaggeration at all.
Yeah, I think it is. It's incredible, in my opinion, that it just is. It's really sad that there's people who want to talk about like his 401k. I don't care about Bubba's 401k. Do you really think Bubba Cunningham is at all struggling financially? He's not. This is, to me, about looking at West Virginia's situation and looking at Boise's situation, because I think those are the 2 teams who got screwed here.
Right.
The money that those 2 universities and those 2 conferences, the Big 12 and the Mountain West, need out of the NCAA tournament, and I've talked about this repeatedly, your basketball program, your basketball as a conference, it has to be a revenue generator. It's critical these days. Gloria Navarez and others have come on the show and said it's 20% of your media rights deal. You've got to get into the tournament.
Yes.
Because it makes you significantly more money that's paid out over time. It helps, you know, build girth, if you will,
Right.
into your foundation. And for me, I just think that it's unthinkable that Bubba Cunningham was able to get away with this. I can't even.
Because my question is, like, to do this, to get the people on that committee to vote with you, like, there had to be a deal of some kind. Like, there had to be some type of negotiation or some type of something that happened. Now, we'll never know about that. That'll
No.
never come out, but something had to have happened.
I would agree with that. I think that when you look at the way that people operate, and you look at the way that, like, this was easy.
Yeah.
This wasn't complex. This wasn't.
Yeah, this wasn't something that we've never seen before. This is easy to understand. It's a group of people putting a bracket together, sitting in a room, and publicly they're going to say, "Yeah, Bubba wasn't in the room." But
He recused
he recused himself, and
He recused
there's
himself.
rules and regulations, and he's got to be outside of the room when the vote happens.
It's why they had Keith Gill on CBS or ESPN talking about this with Bubba Cunningham. And they even said on ESPN, I think they said something to the effect of, it's awkward, and Bubba had to recuse himself. You really think Bubba recused himself so that this list of luminaries from college
You guys
sports
are acting like this is some type of judicial hearing or like a court case. Recusing yourself? You're putting a bracket together, dude. Like, come on.
Yeah, I think it's unthinkable. It's unspeakable, the damage that was done to the Mountain West and West Virginia here. And I agree that West Virginia, and I think a lot of people don't understand the role that the University of West Virginia, and particularly athletics, plays in that state. It is really important. It is why West Virginia football hiring Rich Rodriguez after Neil Brown needs fired is such a big deal, right? Like, bringing back excitement, bringing back community, bringing back heartfelt caring. That mattered. And so I understand why West Virginia feels like the aggrieved party here.
Yeah.
You simply, in our economy, the way this country works right now, you can't afford to spend that money on a lawsuit. There's no justification. It's college athletics. Nobody died. Nobody was,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
college. You just can't do it. Am I crazy that this is, I think when you look at the governor of West Virginia, it's grandstanding, right? Like, do you guys agree with that? Am I making too much out of it? I feel like a governor standing up for a press conference to talk about potentially suing without naming who you would sue. This is just grand. It's political grandstanding.
I think the governor felt a responsibility to say something. And I don't know who rolled out the strategy of, hey, we're going to threaten to sue. I actually would have been fine if the whole press conference was just you making a statement about how upset you were about this. And because, like, I do think on some level, athletic directors and governors and, people in, leadership positions, have a responsibility to make their opinion publicly known about things. And so I would have no problem. Again, like I said, the list of people talking about this is you've got, Brett Yormark, your AD, your head coach, the governor, all saying we're disappointed, we're upset, we're shocked. Like you look at the resume, like we showed you guys the graphic yesterday of West Virginia's resume. Like I'm good with all of that. But where I park company is the portion where you're going to sue the NCAA, and you have a sign. I can't remember what his sign said, like the National Crooked Athletic Association, I think it said. It didn't.
What are we doing?
You didn't need to take it that far. You lost some credibility when you had a sign up that said that. So I just, you look at statements like this. I have no problem with folks saying, "Hey, like, we're upset about this, man. It's fine."
This is what you should have done.
Yeah.
Issue the statement.
Yeah.
And be fine with it. Because there's nothing you're going to do. Did you learn nothing from Florida State falling flat on their face over Jordan Travis's injury? And that doesn't even speak to, and I know every Florida State fan in the world is like, oh my God, Monty, you don't know what you're talking about. We won it all. You didn't win the lawsuit. You settled, and you're still not out of the ACC.
Yeah.
Nobody has ever gone to court. And if you want to show me where, show me where. What university has ever gone to court suing a conference and won?
Good luck.
What university has ever gone to court? Where are all my Michigan guys who are like, we're going to court, Monty? Okay. When did you go to court and when did you win? You didn't. You absolutely didn't. And there's nobody that goes to court and sues at a high level like the NCAA, the conference, and wins. Because there's no precedent. You signed a contract. You agreed to this system.
Yes.
I know. We're locked on Monty. Oh, there's the NCAA has no power over football or basketball or even badminton. Okay, then why?
Then why are you threatening to sue the NCAA?
And how come this continues to happen? Because we know the NCAA, toothless, Monty. Okay, do something about it. Oh, because the NCAA, oh, that's right. West Virginia is the NCAA. And so is North Carolina, and so is Florida State, and so is Clemson, and so is Boise. And
why don't you just sue Bubba himself?
The universities make up the NCAA.
Yeah, why don't you just sue the Tar Heels?
It's crazy to me.
Come on,
and I listened to this governor, and again, I just say, like, how do guys like this get elected?
6 quad 1 wins. And that was combined with an undefeated record against quad 3 and quad 4 opponents. 3 wins against top 10 teams and the 24th toughest schedule in America. West Virginia deserved to be in the NCAA tournament. This was a miscarriage of justice and robbery at the highest levels. Now, who was the last team to get into the tournament? Ahead of the Mountaineers. That would be the University of North Carolina. Now, let's see how their resume stacks up. The Tar Heels went 1-12 in quad 1 games and even had a quad 3 loss.
What are you going to do about it?
Schemers trying to control their little worlds.
There's nothing to do about it.
Yeah.
Right? This is it's Bohica, bud.
Yes.
It's Bohica. And I just continue to say, for all the people who told me because I always say, the ACC runs through Tobacco Road. Has there ever been more proof of that?
No.
Than the sway and the influence that Bubba Cunningham has than this right here. And you're not going to do anything about it. You're
going to sit here and you're going to suffer and you're going to deal with it. And it is what it is. Like, I hate saying that, but there's nothing else to say. Like, my question is, if you legitimately sue, and they're not going to, I would be shocked.
They're not going to sue.
But let's say that you did. Are you suing for damages? Is that it? Like, is that what you're saying? Hey, you stiffed us of a spot, and now we're not going to make money. That's what I guess your argument is? But the problem is you don't have any evidence that this actually happened. You don't have anything to go on, from an evidence standpoint to win a lawsuit. So you're hoping to settle for a fee.
Tucker DeVries is hurt, and that's why we can't put West Virginia in the...
Apparently.
I'm telling you, this was a big FU with the Jordan Travis injury. You guys saw that, right? Bubba Cunningham talked about Tucker DeVries being hurt, and that's why they couldn't put him in. So we're going to put ourselves in. I just don't know. Without Tucker DeVries, can't put West Virginia in. Well, Bubba, who do you think we should put in? I don't know, man. I mean, I'm happy to put North Carolina in. We'll do you a favor and play in the NCAA tournament. But Bubba's just being a nice guy, trying to help a guy.
He's doing you a favor,
yeah,
bro.
Tucker DeVries is hurt. If Tucker had been healthy, I wouldn't have put North Carolina in. But who else was that? We're not going to put a G5 in. West Virginia. John Denver's dead. Like, that's really what we're talking about. So there you go. Head coach DeVries talking to Iowa concerning their head coaching vacancy. That would be a bummer. Okay. It's amazing that man was actually elected. It makes me worry more about the state of West Virginia itself. Well, you probably should. F around and find out. There you go.
I mean, that's what this is, dude. I mean, at some point we have to, be okay with it didn't work out. We're going to talk about that. We're upset about it. And then we're going to move on. There's nothing else to be done. Like, there's not.
Yeah. West Virginia Walrus, while I don't think the governor shouldn't, well, I don't think the governor shouldn't sue. So you think he should sue then? Is that what you mean? I don't think the governor shouldn't sue. So you think he should sue. But the state of West Virginia sued the NCAA and won. Oh, but we're essentially talking about NIL. Right? We're talking about NIL, which the House settlement is a class action federal lawsuit, which was used, multiple states sued over transfer policies based on, your apples to oranges.